Hola, ¿cómo estás? Espero que muy bien. ¿Quieres mejorar tu inglés de una manera fácil y efectiva? Escuchar historias es una de las mejores formas de entrenar tu oído y mejorar tu comprensión del inglés. Solo 10 minutos al día pueden hacer una gran diferencia en tu capacidad para entender conversaciones reales. Hoy, escucharás una historia narrada en inglés diseñada para ayudarte a mejorar tu listening de forma natural. Y al final, te daré un PDF con palabras clave para que puedas expandir tu vocabulario. Así que prepárate y empecemos.
The Lost Key. Tom was walking home from school on a warm spring afternoon. The sun was shining and the birds were singing in the trees. His backpack felt heavy on his shoulders, filled with books and notebooks from a long day of classes. He sighed and kicked a small rock on the sidewalk. That's when something caught his eye, something shiny near the base of a tree. Curious, he bent down and picked it up. It was a small golden key, old but beautiful. The surface was decorated with tiny engravings, and the metal felt cool in his hand. He looked around, but there was no one nearby who could have lost this. He wondered. Tom held the key tightly in his hand and continued walking. When he got home, he showed it to his older sister, Emma, who was sitting at the kitchen table doing her homework. "Look what I found," he said. Placing the key on the table, Emma leaned forward and examined it. "It looks really old. Maybe it's for a secret door or a treasure chest," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. Tom laughed. "A treasure chest? Come on, Emma. It's probably just a lost house key, but look at the design. It's not like a normal house key. I think we should find out where it belongs," Emma insisted. Their mother, who was cooking dinner, glanced at the key and said, "If it's lost, maybe you should take it to the police station. But what if it's something special? What if it's part of a mystery?" Emma said. Tom hesitated. He didn't want to ignore the possibility that the key was important. Finally, he agreed. "Okay, tomorrow we'll go back to where I found it and see if there are any clues." The next afternoon, Tom and Emma returned to the tree where he had found the key. They looked around carefully. The tree stood near an old wooden bench in the park. As they searched, Emma noticed something unusual. "Tom, look under the bench," she whispered. Tom knelt down and saw a small wooden box, covered in dust and leaves. It was locked. His heart beat faster as he pulled it out. "Do you think?" Emma asked, holding her breath. Tom took out the golden key and slowly inserted it into the lock. It fit perfectly. He turned it, and with a soft click, the lock opened. Inside the box, they found a collection of old letters, a black and white photograph, and a small silver ring. The letters were written in beautiful handwriting, and the photograph showed a young couple smiling at the camera. Emma gently picked up the ring. It had a delicate engraving inside. She read the words aloud. "Forever yours, Sarah." "Who is Sarah?" Tom asked. "I don't know," Emma said, "but I think we need to find out." That evening, they showed the box to their grandmother. She put on her reading glasses and carefully examined the photograph. Her eyes widened in surprise. "This is Sarah and John," she said softly. "Sarah was my best friend when I was younger." Tom and Emma exchanged excited looks. Do you know where she is now? Tom asked. She lives in the neighborhood, just a few streets away, their grandmother said. I haven't seen her in years. The next day, Tom and Emma walked to Sarah's house. It was a small, cozy home with a white fence and colorful flowers in the garden. A woman in her late 70s opened the door. Her eyes were kind but filled with curiosity. Hello, can I help you? She asked, Are you Sarah? Emma asked, Yes, I am, she replied. Tom took a deep breath. We found something that belongs to you. He handed her the wooden box. Sarah gasped when she saw it. Her hands trembled as she opened it. When she saw the photograph and the ring, tears welled up in her eyes. Where did you find this? She asked in a whisper. Tom explained how he had found the key and the box. Sarah listened carefully, holding the ring tightly in her hand. This belonged to my husband, John, she said with a sad smile. We were young when this picture was taken. He gave me this ring as a promise before we got married. What happened? Emma asked gently. John passed away many years ago, Sarah said. I kept this box as a memory of him. I don't know how it got lost. Tom and Emma felt a deep sense of warmth in their hearts. They hadn't found gold or treasure, but they had returned something precious, memories of love and happiness. Sarah smiled at them. Thank you, children. This means more to me than you can imagine. As they walked home, Emma turned to Tom and said, Maybe we didn't find a treasure chest, but we found something even more valuable. Tom nodded. Yes, kindness and memories are treasures too. That evening, Tom and Emma sat on their porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The experience with Sarah had left them both thoughtful. Do you think she was happy to see the box again? Tom asked. Emma nodded. Of course. You saw her face. She was emotional, but I think it was a good kind of emotion. Sometimes memories bring sadness, but they also bring joy. Tom thought about that for a moment. I never really thought about how important small things can be. A picture, a ring. They don't seem like much, but for Sarah, they meant everything. Emma smiled. That's what makes life special. The little things that carry big stories. For the next few days, Tom couldn't stop thinking about their discovery. He wondered how many other lost objects had stories behind them. One afternoon, as they walked home from school, he shared his thoughts with Emma. Maybe we should do this more often, he said. Find lost things and return them to their owners. Emma's eyes lit up. Like detectives. We could call ourselves the memory finders. Tom laughed. That sounds like something from a book. But think about it, Emma continued. So many people lose things, rings, letters, old photos. And sometimes those things mean the world to them. If we can bring back even one happy memory to someone, wouldn't it be worth it? Tom nodded. Yeah, I guess helping people remember is a kind of treasure too. That weekend, they decided to visit their grandmother again. She had lived in the neighborhood for many years, and they were sure she had heard many stories. Grandma, Emma said as they sat in the living room, Do you know of any other lost things in the neighborhood? Maybe something important that someone never found? Their grandmother thought for a moment and then smiled. Actually, I do. When I was younger, there was an old man named Mr. Harrison. He used to tell us kids stories about a pocket watch his father gave him. One day, he lost it while gardening, and he never found it again. He was heartbroken. Tom and Emma exchanged excited looks. Do you think we could find it? Tom asked. Their grandmother chuckled. It's been decades, but you can always try. And so, their next adventure began. Armed with curiosity and determination, Tom and Emma set out to find Mr. Harrison's lost watch. As they walked to the old man's house, Emma grinned. Looks like the memory finders are officially on their first case. Tom smiled. Let's see if we can bring another story back to life.
Gracias por escuchar esta historia. Recuerda que en la descripción encontrarás un PDF con algunas palabras clave. No olvides suscribirte, darle like y dejar un comentario contándome qué te pareció la historia. Nos vemos en el próximo video.